Hello there, and welcome to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and the man seated next to me is the only person I know to have a 300 game in mini golf. And his name is Mike Roth.
I don't give up. I don't give up. I just keep on going. If it doesn't go into the hole, if the windmill isn't working quite right, or
it's always the windmill that throws you off.
Pretty much the windmill.
It's not working right.
Well, the other
Keeps
thing,
hitting my ball.
The other thing that messes me up is when you're on that top tier and you got to guess which hole to go in order to get it into. It's never the right hole.
Never.
And you think I would learn? I go to the same course every time.
I think a big part of it, too, is I've seen you play mini golf, and you take a big backswing. And so it's a lot of time spent trying to find the ball.
Well, that's all
as it goes bouncing through the parking lots.
That's all part of my strategy. I hope to hit the person behind me and handicap them.
There you
That's
go.
how you handicap someone.
That's a handicap, exactly.
Yes.
Now you know. We need the little ABC. Bling. Now you know. So this week we have a few movies to talk about on the marquee. I'm going to get us started with the movie that I saw this week called The Beguiled from director Sofia Coppola. She,
Her dad's famous.
Francis, he's done a couple things.
Yeah.
And Sophia won the Best Director Award at Cannes this year for this movie, The Beguiled. Stars Nicole Kidman, Kirsten Dunst, Elle Fanning, Una Lawrence, Angourie Rice. These are all ladies. This is 1864 Virginia. Civil War is raging. They are kind of holed up in this seminary where Nicole Kidman is the headmistress of this, trying to teach these young ladies how to be young ladies. Kirsten Dunst is kind of her right-hand woman, Edwina, trying to teach these ladies to speak some proper French. All this stuff as the war rages on, and Colin Farrell is discovered out in the woods. He is an injured Union soldier down here in Confederate land.
Oh, no.
He has been shot. He's brought back to the house, and they're going to fix him up. And the movie is a lot of, he's not welcome. He's not a guest. He's an enemy. But he's also a man. And these women haven't seen a man in a long time. And they're fighting to be prim and proper. But they all want to make an impression on him. And it's kind of funny, some of the scenes where the extent they go to make an impression on this guy, while still also being very ladylike. And not dropping those airs. Each one of these girls kind of sees something different in him and what he represents to them, and each one of them kind of has their thing where, like, Una Lawrence is the girl who found him, so she kind of sees him as a friend. Elle Fanning is kind of the sexed up teenager. Okay. Who just sees something carnal in him. Kirsten Dunst is kind of sees a way out of this life with him. Perhaps he could. He's working on seducing her and perhaps take her away. And Nicole Kidman's character is really very confused about how she feels about this Corporal McBurney. And there's a constant debate through the movie about, like, well, what should we do with him? And there'd be a lot of like, well, I guess we'll have to turn him over to our Confederate boys unless one of you has a reason why we should keep him here. Anyone have a reason? Oh, yeah, he's probably not healed up yet. Okay, we'll keep him for a little while longer. A lot of this stuff. And then jealousy kind of starts to rear its ugly head as all of these ladies are around. There's one man there. And you can tell that they're really starting to get jealous and kind of work on each other. Like, suddenly they start showing a little shoulder. Scandalous.
Showing off those gowns.
You hussy, you're showing a shoulder. And throughout it all, Colin Farrell he's actually the best part of this movie is because he does have to kind of play a different character for each one of these ladies as he's trying to kind of seduce them and get things from them. And just, he's bedridden for most of the movie, and he's got a really interesting performance. At one point, he screws up big time, and a saw has to come out to remedy a situation that he causes. And from there, he turns into this rage-filled monster, which is actually rather fun in this movie. The film itself, it has a great look. It has a great feel. I think that's Sofia Coppola's kind of her forte, is to set a beautiful tone. Mm-hmm. The movie itself just kind of drags in parts. At the end, there's supposed to be a lot of tension. There's supposed to be this big, tense-filled scene, and I would have wished for a little more because it felt like really linear storytelling. Like you knew where it was going the entire way, and there weren't a lot of swerves. I was kind of hoping for a few swerves. So, I mean, it was fine. It was I gave it 3 out of 5 stars.
What would you classify this movie as?
I mean, it's definitely a period piece. It's a drama that turns to a little action. I mean, it is.
Okay.
It's very slow. It's a slow burn. It's not really a romantic movie.
Yeah. Well, from the trailers, it kind of comes off as it could be classified maybe as a horror. I think they wanted
they
to
built that up, and I was expecting that. I think that might be what part of my disappointment was for the end, because it was built up in the trailers that something is going to happen. You monsters, what have you done? And that's actually way earlier in the movie.
Okay.
And yeah, and I was hoping that since that part was earlier in the movie, hoping the end then would have something really intense. And they kind of let down on that part. So yeah,
that's too bad.
It's a beautiful looking movie. It's got some really good performances in it, but
I was hoping that was going to come to the Palace. I really did. I wanted to see it, but darn it.
Well, now you know.
Now I know.
There you go.
Knowledge is power.
Before we move on, there's also another movie that came out this week in theaters that we actually reviewed a few months back. I reviewed called The Hero from director Brett Haley, starring Sam Elliott, Nick Offerman, Laura Prepon. If you want to really see more of my review on it, go back, look at that. I think it was middle April episode. But it was a movie that up until last week, was my #1 movie of the year. And I just absolutely loved it. And it is finally in wide distribution at theaters near you. So I'm just saying, if you're looking for something really good, you've already seen Baby Driver, you're looking for a fun movie, go watch The Hero. It's an awesome film, so go check that out.
All right.
Moving on, what do you have, sir?
Moving on, one of the big movies on the marquee is Despicable Me. This is the third Despicable Me, starring Steve Carell as Gru, but he also changes it up a little bit. He plays another character, also Drew, his twin brother that he never knew about. This is pretty much a brother movie. Gru is out there. He finds out that he has a long-lost brother, and his mom and dad, the dad never died. They just separated, and each one took a child. And the mother says she lost the first choice. And totally makes Gru feel a little sad. But he's totally excited to meet his brother. He meets him, and he's got this beautiful mansion on an island, and he's got long flowing blonde hair, which Gru is a little jealous about. But it's not about Gru being jealous of Drew. It's Drew wanting to be more like his brother. I guess the dad was an evil villain mastermind, and Drew just never lived up to that. And he's hoping that his twin brother, Gru, will teach him how to do this. I really like the interaction between Steve Carell and Steve Carell. He does a really good job at talking to himself. We also still have the Minions. They're a little bit more downplayed in this movie than past movies, which is refreshing, because I'm actually in the camp of I'm getting a little bit sick of the Minions.
It's a one-note joke.
Yeah, it is. And they did us a favor, and they concentrated more on the brother story than forcing Minions on us constantly. They do pop in and out of the story, but they're more of a breaker.
They're like little interludes between scenes.
Yeah.
And then here's the Minions.
We also have Trey Parker playing Balthazar Bratt, who was a child star back in the 80s as this kid who was kind of villainous, actually very villainous, and when he got older, he wasn't as cute. He didn't get the jobs. He was doing the Comic-Con circuits for a while. That didn't do too well, and his psyche pretty much made him the bad character from the television show in order to feel important. And most people, they just end up in the funny farm, but he was actually really good at being a villain.
A 1980s villain.
And we also have Kristen Wiig, who's playing Lucy. Drew's girlfriend or wife.
Gru's.
Yeah, I get them so confused. They're twins.
It's the hair.
It's the hair.
I mean, and also in this, I mean, at this point, Gru is trying to be a good guy. He's trying to help take down bad guys.
Yeah.
So that's why the conflict is between he and Drew. Like, I don't want to go to that life.
Yeah, but he kind of pretends to do it, I think, just to be closer to his brother or help him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Drew kind of uses Gru's vanity and kind of butters him up to, come on, hey, let's do this. And, you say the Minions are definitely lessened in this movie, but it is also their influence because they're not happy that Gru.
Oh, no.
We learned that, of course, the Minions like to follow bad guys. They like super bad guys.
Which we learned from the Minions movie.
Exactly. And so in this movie, when your leader is out there just smiling and mowing lawns, they don't like that. So let's be a bad guy, Gru.
There was a couple of scenes I really liked in this.
Okay.
There was a scene between Gru and Drew, and they were both dressing up like each other, but no one was buying it, and they thought everybody was buying it. And I just thought it was really cute. I really laughed at that little part. But overall, I really think the Minions are bringing down this movie franchise.
The breakout stars of the first movie.
Yeah.
And now they're the weight, the anchor, dragging this franchise down. Huh?
Pretty much. That's what I'm thinking. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I mostly agree with you that I like Steve Carell in these movies. Yeah, the Minions, like, I am so done with them. Like, if I never see another Minion, I'll be just fine.
Yeah.
I've never been a huge fan of them. I enjoyed the first movie quite a bit. And then I was kind of already Minioned out at that point.
Yeah.
And then I never saw a reason why we need a Minions movie other than for the obvious cash grab. And then, when they announced this one, it's like, more Minions. I can't do it.
And it doesn't help if you ever are into social media. It seems like I see some Minion type meme all the time, and they're always reminding me, hey, there's these little Tic Tacs out there that have googly eyes, and they're really cute, and they don't speak English. And
there was a Halloween a couple years ago where it felt like 5 out of 7 people I saw were dressed as a Minion.
Yeah.
That got a little old.
Just too much. It's just too much.
So for me, the Despicable Me franchise has just kind of been there for me. I don't know. Like I say, I like the first one, and since then it's just kind of floated along, I guess, under my radar. Like, it's harmless, whatever. Mm-hmm. And this one kind of falls in line with that. Like, I think it's whatever. I don't think it's groundbreaking animation. I don't think it's groundbreaking comedy of any sort.
No.
Yeah.
I like the movie based on my feelings for Stephen Carell's performance, right. and that's pretty much it.
So I mean, for me, ultimately, I gave Despicable Me 3. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars.
Oh,
yeah, there it is, 2 out of 5 stars. Wow. It's just kind of blah. It's just
there. That's below blah.
It is kind of below. Yeah, it was nothing. No great shakes. If I'm being honest, I was struggling to stay awake at some points in the movie.
That's what we want you to do.
Yeah,
we want you to be honest.
It was like toothpicks in the eyelids for a little while. Yeah, that's just mine. What do you give it?
I gave it 3 stars.
Well, that seems fitting.
I enjoyed Stephen Carell a lot. Got to get rid of those Minions. Really honest.
Can we the next one just have like a Minion hunter? Like somebody out there.
Oh, that is a great, and it's Gru because the
He
Minions
they
decide to become evil themselves since they can't find anybody to follow. So Gru has to hunt them down, but he doesn't do it humanely.
I'm on board with this.
We're writing this. We're writing it.
Just Illumination. I like it.
Contact
just Minions over a fire, just on a stick.
That's
I hear they're delicious.
They look delicious.
They do. They
taste like candy corn.
Really good. All right, let's move on to the last movie we have here on the marquee this week, and that is The House from writer-director Andrew J. Cohen. This is his first feature film, sir. After writing Neighbors 1 and 2 and Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates, those phenomenal comedies. He brings us The House starring Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler as husband and wife, Scott and Kate, whose daughter is, she's going off to college. She's going to Bucknell. She got a scholarship and everything. We're going to Bucknell, except they find out that, yes, she won a scholarship through the city that they live in, but There's no money left because they're trying to build a state-of-the-art swimming pool, so they had to take her scholarship money. And sorry, there's no cash. But being the pushover parents they are terrified to tell their daughter that they can't afford to send her to college. So they have to come up with a crazy plan to make it work. They bring in their friend, Frank, played by Jason Mantzoukas, he's a mess. He's going through a divorce, but he has a plan for him. And they're going to follow this plan despite the fact that he's a degenerate and a madman. They're going to just go with this plan of let's just open a casino. Because the casino always makes money. Let's open an underground casino. And hey, if we have a fight club attached to it, why not? And basically, everyone in the town knows about this casino, and they're raking in money hand over fist. You get the visual marker of these 5 safes that they show, and if we fill all 5, then the game is done.
Yeah.
Everyone in the town knows about it except for the councilman Bob, played by Nick Kroll, and the cop, played by Rob Hubel. Yeah. They're the only 2 people in town that don't know about this.
Pretty much, yeah.
And of course, you know, they start to believe their hype. You know, they start to become mobsters themselves in their own minds, and you know, craziness ensues. And it's basically the rise and fall of this casino that they build. Here's my one, right off Jump Street, my one huge issue with this movie.
Oh, I got a huge issue too.
The biggest thing that bothered me with this movie, and it didn't even have to be there because it wasn't a funny joke, and it shouldn't have had any bearing on any of the characters. But Will Ferrell's character in this movie has a zero understanding of how numbers work. And they hammered on this joke of how he doesn't know money, he can't add. No, this guy, he holds a job. He's a seemingly successful guy, got a nice family, nice house, and yet he has no, like when they ask him how many people are at the party, he can't tell the difference between 35 and 800. He has no idea how any numbers work, and they just keep going back to this joke, and it's like, I like Will Ferrell when he plays the naive guy, the guy who just maybe is a little, you know, clueless, but not when he's a complete idiot, because it's just not believable for a human being to be that stupid.
Especially being in charge of a casino.
I mean, right away. And they went to that joke early, and they went to it often.
Yeah.
Of, I don't know how numbers work. I have no idea. It irritated me.
My big issue?
Yeah.
The entire story. No, really, the story.
Fact that they're terrible parents?
Yeah, well, everything, they really don't foreshadow. They pretty much just show you, hey, this is what's going to go on for the rest of the movie. You see the safes, you see Bob, he has this embezzling thing, and you know,
and the mistress,
and you could see all this stuff unraveling way before the end of the movie. And the end of the movie, really, that thing was off the hinge. It really was terribly executed.
Yeah, that final act was ridiculous.
But the one thing that made me really like this is I love the chemistry between the actors. Jason Mantzoukas plays Frank. I think he does a fantastic job at playing this guy who's at rock bottom, and he's just like probably just like an hour away from realizing he's at rock bottom, but he never does. And he's just desperately, constantly just, we can do this, but he is, I mean, really, he needs to wake up. And I enjoyed watching it. It's kind of pathetic, but funny and extremely, I don't know. I really liked his energy through the whole thing, at being at rock bottom. And I really liked the chemistry between Will Ferrell and Amy Poehler.
Yeah.
Or Poehler, sorry.
I agree. I really like Amy Poehler in this. Jason Mantzoukas is one of my, I mean, he has a main line to my funny bone. He hosts one of my favorite podcasts. He's in a lot of things where he even self-admittedly says that every role he's ever played, he's a complete scumbag.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of his thing. I've seen an interview with him where they're running down roles he's been in. Like, all right, have you ever played just a normal guy or an okay, decent guy? Like, how about, you were this guy? Oh, I was a total scumbag in that. Oh, I was a real dirtbag in that movie. Oh, man, I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he's great. I mean, he was one of the reasons I was excited for this movie. And there's a lot of comedic actors in this movie. Yeah. Even in the background, I'm like, hey, he's barely even got any dialogue. That's a guy I know. Kyle Kinane, who's one of my favorite stand-up comics working right now, shows up as Garvey, another real dirtbag. He's the one who got involved in the first fight with the beard.
Oh, okay.
I love Kyle Kinane. I think he's funny. And then, out of nowhere in this movie, Jeremy Renner shows up.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
At first I was like, is that Jeremy Renner? Mm-hmm. It sure is. Playing like the mob boss.
Yeah.
Rolling in.
And he was involved, or at least his body was involved, in one of the funniest scenes in the movie. I laughed out loud during this overdrawn bit where, they're trying to help a guy, but every time they help him, it gets a little worse.
Snowballs. Yeah, I think this movie kind of really falls in line with a lot of the things that director Andrew J. Cohen has done. The Neighbors movies, Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you could point to things like, I like that, but as a whole, it didn't quite work.
No.
And I like this moment, and I like this moment, I like this performance, and I thought they were good together. But as a whole, the movies are kind of, and I think this kind of falls in line with that.
I think if anybody wants to follow this story and just be like, oh, I just want a good story, definitely don't go to see this movie. It's really...
And, it's ridiculous. The thing that drove me nuts was that the entire film is predicated on the fact that these parents are too scared to tell the truth to their daughter.
Yeah.
And so we have to go through everything that we go through because we're just terrified of telling our daughter no.
Yeah.
What a horrible message we send. We'll do whatever it takes as long as our daughter doesn't know that we failed. Sometimes as a parent, you just have to fail and accept what happens in life instead of cutting arms off.
And well, she got to college age without them ever failing, I'm sure.
I'm
so
sure.
they couldn't start.
Absolutely. So what did you end up giving the house?
I gave it a 3. It is really...
You sure about that?
No. I gave it 2.5.
Now you're going to give it a 3.
No, I'm going to stay at 2.5.
All right, very good.
It was funny, but really, the story is absolutely horrible. Mm-hmm. I did laugh out loud generally, but when you look back at it, it's really written very sloppy.
Yeah, and that's just my biggest problem. Is as much as I love Jason Mantzoukas and as much as I loved Amy Poehler and Kyle Kinane and some of the other characters in the movie, I think everything involving Councilman Bob you could just got rid of that.
Yeah.
I think that was just ridiculous. You could have done something with that time because it just felt like it was a whole different thing going on over here.
And once they came out with it, they pretty much told you the rest of the story.
And you knew what was going to happen, so it's not like there was anything big swerve coming with it. So, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I agree with you. I give it 2.5 out of 5 stars. It's just a kind of forgettable comedy. There's moments.
Well, I was almost a 3.
You were close. You tried it.
Close.
Fortunately, the judges say no. So that's what we had for this week. Let's take a look back, though, to a movie that kind of has to deal with some of the flicks we're talking about. The movie came out back in 1995. The phenomenal director Martin Scorsese came out with a film.
Yeah.
What movie are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about Casino. Yeah. It kind of mixes two things. You have a short minion, played by Joe Pesci, and you also have the whole casino type.
Do you think the minions are talking like Pesci in their language? It's just a lot of obscenities?
Maybe. That could be. It could be.
I don't want that to be true.
But 1995, I went to see this movie in Las Vegas.
Ooh.
And behind me, a few rows, were a couple of guys that actually remembered this time. And they, I believe, they had to have been in the mob themselves because they were talking about it like, yeah, that happened.
At that time, pretty much everyone in Vegas was. In the 70s.
It was just a couple of tourists and a lot of mafia men. Yeah. We have Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci. They played mob bosses that come to Vegas, and De Niro, he wants to be legit. He wants to try to keep this all legal, where Joe Pesci, he knows where he came from, and he's not changing for anybody.
Look at him.
We also have Sharon Stone, who plays De Niro's love interest. He marries her, even though she wasn't really in love with him, but he figured love would grow and things will change.
Money speaks.
But Ginger was a prostitute, and she manipulated men for a living, and she never changed, just like Joe Pesci. Mm-hmm. All sorts of antics happen. People die.
You've got the great Don Rickles playing a major role in this.
And we also have James Wood, who also plays the Sharon Stone's ex-pimp.
James Woods has one of my favorite, most quotable lines in the history of movies in this, and it's kind of a throwaway line.
Yeah.
As he's arguing with Sharon Stone's daughter
Yeah.
in the final act of the film, where he says, "I'm going to send you to Bolivia in a box." Ask me if I've said that to my kids before. The answer is yes.
Yes.
It's just such a great. This film is, I mean, it gets paired up with Goodfellas, and it's a natural fit because it is kind of another story telling a true story about how the Tangiers was built, and just kind of telling about this time with the mob, and naturally with Pesci and De Niro and a lot of the other background characters showing up in both films. It feels like a companion piece of Goodfellas. I love this movie. It's 2.5 hours long. I've watched this movie umpteen times. It never feels long. I watched it again this week. I love, it's so beautiful. I mean, the way Scorsese shoots it, obviously, the way he uses the music to set the mood in this movie, and the performances. I mean, Joe Pesci is insane. He is maniacal in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And he's great. You know, and you see, like, the rise of Sam Rothstein as being the legitimate guy, and then how he kind of turns into the villain and kind of turns on his roots, and how, you know, Joe Pesci's Nicky needs to kind of keep him in check, and how these two friends and brothers come up and suddenly the divide comes. I mean, the baseball bat scene with Nicky is one of the most horrifying moments in movies.
That's terrible.
I mean, the sound of that bat hitting his head is sickening.
I like the deterioration of all these. So you really do watch these people go into power and become like really powerful, seem strong-minded people. And throughout the film, as drugs and alcohol and situations come, you watch these characters mentally deteriorate. Yeah. Where you have De Niro, he's like sitting there as the ex-boss or runner of the casino, and he's doing live TV magic shows just so he could say his side of the story.
He believes his own hype.
Yeah.
I'm untouchable.
Yeah. And you have Pesci, who eventually he's so riddled with alcohol and drugs that he can't even properly beat up someone.
I love this movie so much. It's one of the most quotable movies ever. I just love it.
So would you recommend people watching
Absolutely.
Casino?
Sit down for 3 hours, put Casino in. It is a masterpiece. I love it. I love this movie so much. And this movie came out at a time where I was ripe for this.
Yeah.
You know, 1995, I'm an 18-year-old kid. Casino comes out. I was fired up for this movie. Absolutely love it.
I really enjoyed my time watching it.
Yeah.
Having the mob guys behind me making comments.
So definitely check out Casino. If you haven't, or if you haven't watched it in a while, check it out. Let's take a quick look ahead at what is going to be coming out the weekend of July 14th, sir. We have 2 films that will be in the box office that weekend. The first is the 3rd movie in the trilogy, War for the Planet of the Apes. We get Woody Harrelson in here fighting apes.
I'm looking forward to it.
The first 2 have been really good.
Yeah.
Why not? And second movie we have is Wish Upon. A young girl gets a magic box that she makes wishes about something that's going to happen. Oh, if you wish upon it, maybe it'll happen.
And I look forward to all horror movies, no matter how bad they are.
Yeah, you do. Wish Upon, that's something. So those are the movies that will be out the weekend of July 14th. Of course, before we leave you, we want to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters. Thank you for sponsoring our show. We do love some Marcus Theaters. If you want to find more from us, you can find us on Facebook. Of course, you can find us on Twitter at Real Reviews TV. You can find a whole slew of past episodes, like 168 of them. If you go
That's kind of a very exact number.
It kind of is,
yes.
roughly.
Roughly.
If you just go to ksun.tv, or you can find us on the YouTube. Just search Real Reviews K-Sun. We've got all our episodes on there in beautiful HD.
And if you find yourself in the bistro, try the deep-fried pickle
That's
chips.
right.
Yeah, they're delicious. They're really delicious. Had them for the first time last week.
So good. I had some last night. Delicious. So that's all we have for you this week. Next week, we're going to be talking about Spider-Man Homecoming, among other things. It's going to be fun. So can't wait for that. But until that time, my name is Jameson Ravitz.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.